Hi there, everyone. I'm back. I had a weird month, and I can't really explain it. I guess it's because I'm a little bit of a private person. I stopped making videos, and now it's not because I stopped doing art. Last thing you probably saw was some of these castle drawings. But there's some spaceships that I did. I actually finished this whole sketchbook and started a new sketchbook, which I'll be working in the future. And it's a really big one. It's an 800-page sketchbook, and I'm only gonna draw on like one side of the page because it's a little bit thinner paper. And I may switch out of that sketchbook too because I've got some watercolor paper that I want to mess around with as well. The drawings here at the end are probably less impressive. This one was done with like just ballpoint pen, and these are just compositional ideas for drawings. So probably not super impressive. Two more compositional ideas. Then there's some gesture drawings. Gesture drawings are how you practice figure drawings. Also, usually not very impressive. They're done in 60 seconds each from a series of images flashed. I use quick poses to do mine. I like how she turned out. I think this image right here, just this one probably really unimpressive portrait here, I really end up liking the simplicity that I went for. There's very few lines used here. And that's what I'd like to strive for in my inking later on, is simplicity. More compositional stuff. Also, I was reading Gormenghast, which is this novel about this really sprawling castle environment. So you can see I did a couple of attempts at drawing this castle environment that I was interested in. There's some cartooning heads, more castles and castles. Sort of a castle courtyard that I imagined was from Gormenghast. And some sort of fantasy art. And that's it. 1/29/2026. It was complete. I described what I was going through as a crisis of confidence. I thought, well, these aren't that impressive, this art. And maybe, you know, when you have that kind of feeling, maybe nothing you do is impressive, really. But the second thought that I had that comes after that is, who cares if it's impressive to anybody? A lot of the stuff I'm doing is just trying to cover the gaps in my figure drawing and architectural depictions, and it's so that I can learn. And learning is not about showing off at all, and showing off shouldn't even be a goal, really. Oh, also we had a massive winter storm. It was so cold in my studio garage that some of my paints froze, some of my watercolors froze and fell on the ground and shattered. So I recovered what I could, but you know how watercolor is like a little cake, and then once it splits up and there's more than one that breaks, if you don't put all the right colors together and later you get it wet, you're gonna get a mixed color somehow. Well, that's kind of what happened. Some of my dark colors were the ones that shattered, like an umbral brown and a dark purple and a black, and it's hard to tell the difference. So you can't put all the chips together and make it work. This is my new sketchbook. This is an 800-page Gigantor Amazon sketchbook. The giant sketchbook, 800 pages. Is it really and truly 800 pages? Most sketchbooks, any number you see of how many pages it is, it's usually half, because we're talking about both sides of a page. And because of the thinness on this, I mean, it's pretty good paper. Yeah, it's pretty good paper, but it isn't necessarily something you want to use wet media on. And I like to use, you know, among other things, ink and ink washes and stuff. So this is just pencil right here. And really, this is the first image in the book, and it's page 5. I mean, the pages before, I guess they're counting the title page. I could draw all over all this other stuff, but there's page 5, you know, more compositional and architectural stuff. And here's something with an actual ink wash on it on this book. They tend to degrade the page a little bit if you get it wet, and I did get it wet, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going with that. And then I did this one, this mutant destroyer dude in a arena with a bunch of dead alien creatures underneath. I got anything else in here? Oh, I got this. I did this Harpy. Your death waits for you in that cage. All right, that's from the last unicorn. And let's make her with kind of a skeletal. There we go. A little bit of black with a brush pen. I wanted her to look like a crone or an old lady. I just watched, I don't know if anyone's seen this, The Substance with Demi Moore. And if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's great. What is this movie about? I mean, people will tell you this movie is about people's body image. I think it's about growing old, and you know, people being unrealistic about how they age. People get all kinds of different ideas about what that movie is about. I gotta figure out how I want to do the hair. I want it to be like she's a crone, right? So she's gotta have this old lady hair. The winter storm is over for where I live. And yesterday was the first day it was, I would say, somewhat warm. I think it's still dipping below freezing overnights, but we had it all the way up to like 60 degrees yesterday. Oh, among other things, I don't know if I mentioned this, and unfortunately my iPad is 100% dead at this point. I did 3 pages of commissions for Runes magazine, 1 cover and then 2 pages of like spot illustrations. They were in there. Even if you're having a crisis of confidence and a little bit of emotional upset, it doesn't mean you stop. It doesn't mean you stop. I think it's too much of a habit for me to ever stop at this point. I may not share everything. There's a boob. I'm not sure how the would the stretch be horizontal, or is it kind of like vertical down the... There's a vertical. Let's see if we can do like a little bit of a horizontal as well. A little bit of a dry brush effect. when I'm drawing like this, and I want to try and draw like a tapered line, it's easier for me to get the taper at the end of the line when I'm drawing it towards myself. I can still do like a flick, but you have less control when you're drawing away. So he tends to do like a little bit of a dry brush effect at the end. I don't know. We only have to get the thicker lines here. Like if we want to go back in and tighten up some detail with a thin line, I like the Micron PN plastic nib. It has a nice mono line. And what makes your drawings look detailed is not actually detail. It's a mixture of line weights. So if you have thick lines, make sure you add thin lines. That will give you the sense of detail. And so when I'm drawing this knee, for example, that's going to be a thick line. But maybe we use the thin pen to add more detailed lines. Interior to the shapes, contour lines, things like that. And then of course we can also create more depth by adding ink wash to create, shades. Now I've kind of I've kind of drawn myself into a corner. We're seeing the figure from below, but she's squatting and she's naked. This puts us in a danger zone of how are we going to draw that. And the answer, of course, is shadow. We're going to shade things out so that it does not embarrass us to look at it. I know some people don't believe in embarrassment, but I do. I just don't want it to distract from the overall effect of this is a dangerous creature. That's your death waiting for you in that cage. I can't remember the exact line. I think it's that's your death waiting for you in that cage. Or your death waits for you in that cage. That's what the last unicorn says to the witch. I'm trying to remember what the witch's name is. Granny something. Whatever this line is, that's the thigh and the leg, and that's the thigh and the leg. So anything down here, that's where we would have our crotch. So I know, are you embarrassed yet? I've been doing less comics lately. I've been trying to come up with ideas for comics. This is actually an idea for a comic right here. This sort of post-apocalyptic wandering android. And I'm not convinced I'm going to do these ear things. My concept of the android is it's an android with magnetic powers. So I thought we'll just put a big U-shaped horseshoe magnet, on his head. I might still do something like that. I was thinking about Kick Hider. I don't know if you guys know the character of Kick Hider. By Ishinomori, one of Osamu Tezuka's assistants. But it's a cyborg story that takes a lot from Pinocchio, right? He's the cyborg has a completely human appearance, but it's all like a hologram. He's able to shift back and forth, and then the scientist that created him sends all these other cyborgs to go bring him in. And Kick Hider has this half and half blue and red. I don't know if he's even blue and red. I mean, I'm probably interpreting it that way. He's like, you can see half his body, and then half is like translucent, and you can see all the gears and servos and things working. My other big problem for this drawing is, and it's a problem I always have, is how do I structure the wings and the arms? And then my idea here was that the arms are the wings, right? However, how do we get these spine things? Well, we're just going to have them kind of coming off her elbow. And we're going to put her whole hand, her claw-like hand, up here at the top. She is, after all, a harpy, so she has to have a way to grab things and eat them. She's got toes, obviously. She's got bird-like feet, and actually, this would be a prime place to start texturing in some kind of bird-like textures. And also to cover any place where you left a brush stroke and a brush stroke and it left a little break. I don't know if you can even see that. Make sure all your brush strokes that you need are connected. If there's something that doesn't connect, you know, take a look at it. It might be okay. Like, it might be okay, and in general, I believe less is more, especially when it comes to inking. But, oh wait, she's got like a... So for example, I'm not 100% confident about doing that in a thin line, but I can do it with this pen easily. Yeah, get used to not relying on just one pen. You know what they can do, know what they're good for, and what you can do. I think when I started out with a brush pen, or even just a brush, you know, it's very hard to control your line, and it's hard to make it look good. Which is what matters. All right. I'm kind of improvising a finger there, or a thumb. We're closing in on the 20-minute mark. I'm gonna leave this here for now. I'm gonna continue drawing, trying to stay warm. The studio is cold. I think it is, let's see how cold it is right now. Not too bad, 46. 46. You can tell I've got a sweater on. And I don't know if you can hear the heater. I should have turned the heater off. See, this is what gives me the crisis of confidence. You didn't think of that. You forgot. You left it too noisy. All right, well, it is what it is. I will continue working on this and more pages in this gigantic sketchbook. It says 800 pages. I will probably do less than 400. I will occasionally do this side if it isn't too flimsy and thin, but I'm going to be making anything that I hit with a wash is going to wrinkle and warp. So it is what it is. Thanks so much, by the way, to the person that suggested I go back to making videos. I really appreciate that. I don't really make the videos because I want to impress anybody. I started out making the videos because I wanted to hold myself accountable, and you know, I'm gonna be drawing every day. Well, it turns out I completely draw every day as a habit. Like, that's just my habit at this point. And It was Animus again who said, you know, hey, go back to making some more videos. Well, I appreciate you, dude. And keep drawing art every day. There's no reason to stop if you're having a good time. You just get better and better. Every day you're just going to keep improving. And there's money involved. I got my commission drawings for Rune. You know, they pay for those, and I appreciate them so much. I really do. Shout out. Get runes if you're into Shadow Dark or D&D. It's a great zine. Tabletop role-playing games in general. And keep on going. Talk to you later.